If you're looking for a creative way to help your kids understand the testimony of Joseph Smith still lighting us today, then I think you want to do the unquenchable fire trick. We did things a little bit differently this time around, and you can kind of pick and choose depending on where you're teaching this and who you're teaching. You have a lot of options. But basically, we want to begin by talking about the mobs, that those who were enemies to Joseph and Hiram thought that if they could just kill these two men, then they could ruin everything else, that they would just stop the work from progressing. But this isn't Joseph's work and it's not Hiram's work, it's God's work. And so, of course, it carries on. And you need to be able to see that firsthand. And the unquenchable fire trick will let you show it. So for us, we did this with sparklers this year, but you could also do it with something as simple as a tea light candle like this, or even a birthday candle. If you have a birthday candle that you can kind of stick into the wax of this, that works great as well. You just have different options depending on who you're trying to teach and what your environment is. But you want to set up the water first. So you'll talk to your kids about how fire and water obviously can't mix. As soon as water hits fire, it just dies. And I think that's what the mobs thought about Joseph and Hiram, that as soon as they attacked him, then everything else would just die. And you're going to demonstrate that that's not the case. So you're going to take your little tea light candle, or if you have a sparkler stuck into it or a candle stuck into it. For us, I just got the sparklers that you can find often in like the birthday party aisle. They have a pack of little short sparklers that function like candles. That works great for us. But you're going to stick that in the wax first, and then you just gently set it on the surface of the water when it's not lit yet. Let it float on the surface for a minute and talk about what happened with Joseph and Hiram, how the mobs thought they could destroy their testimony, thought they could destroy the church. And then you're going to light it. So have an adult light it, and then make sure everybody's kind of stepping back, especially if you're using the sparkler version. Give yourself some space. And then show how it can be submerged. So this is when you take a second container, something that can fit inside the first. You could use a mason jar, you could use a smaller vase, or even just a drinking glass. And you're going to flip it upside down, and you're going to go straight down on that candle or that sparkler. When you do, you can actually take your cup all the way down to the bottom of the tub. Even if you have a deep plastic bin that you're working with, you can take that candle all the way to the base, and you'll still see the flame lit, because it's preserved in that little bubble of oxygen for a season. Then you can bring it back up, and that flame, as soon as it opens up to the air, it reignites big and you can see the flame again. Sometimes if you're holding it too long, the flame will go out. Like with the sparklers, we just wanted to see how long it could last, and we let the flame go out underneath the water. But you're going to want to talk to your kids about how this is kind of what happened with Joseph Smith, that even though they thought they could destroy his testimony, it continued to flame. It still, to this day, continues to flame. Because those who knew Joseph and wrote down their witness and spoke of what he taught and published the revelations, it's almost like the one candle that Joseph began has now lit thousands of others, tens of thousands of others, and those have lit others. And his light and his goodness continue on. That's what we've learned, especially in these revelations. You see that promise. For me, I would go back to Elder McKay's words. So this is from last October's conference, where he was testifying about what Joseph brought forward and how much he offered the world. Here's what he said. As part of the promised restitution of all things, the Lord, through Joseph Smith, brought forth the Book of Mormon and other revelations that contain the fullness of his gospel. Vital truths were given clarity and completeness as Joseph repeatedly inquired of the Lord for direction. Consider the following. The Father and the Son have bodies as tangible as man's. Jesus took upon himself not only our sins, but also our sicknesses and afflictions and infirmities. His atonement was so excruciating it caused him to bleed from every pore. We are saved by his grace after all we can do. There are conditions to Christ's mercy. As we come unto Christ, he will not only forgive our sins, but he will also change our very nature so that we have no more disposition to do evil. Christ always commands his people to build temples where he manifests himself unto them and endows them with power from on high. And then Elder McKay gave this beautiful testimony. I testify that all these things are true and necessary. They represent only a fraction of the fullness that was restored by Jesus Christ through Joseph Smith in response to Joseph's recurring requests for direction. Joseph Smith is now a part of that heavenly priesthood of which he spoke. And as he promised his friend, he is not far away from us. And on the other side of the veil, he is still working with us and with a power greatly increased to roll on this kingdom. With joy and thanksgiving, I raise my voice in praise to the man who communed with Jehovah. And above all, praise to Jehovah who communed with that man. But let your kids hear that testimony and then share your own. How has Joseph's light illuminated you somehow? And what have you done to carry that light forward? I think if you can motivate your kids to have a burning testimony of Joseph, it will carry them so far. And hopefully this fire-riddled object lesson will help that stick just a little bit more.